This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity Podcast. Today's discussion is 11 stories we're following today. Again, it's December 29th. We're right about at the new year, and so some of these will deal with some of those issues. First, one of the concepts I have this year is I'm going to start the new year with trying to journal, is to improve by journaling. We'll see how that goes. I read a book on it. We'll see if that's helpful. Again, the idea is to journal and see if taking notes on what's going on day to day helps me get clearer and more centered and more focused and perform better at things we're trying to perform better at. Second, there's a great article in Yahoo Finance today on why the most anticipated recession in history hasn't happened despite the Fed raising rates by an incredible amount to fight inflation. The answer, and it's clear in the article, is about $5 trillion or more in government deficit spending. Now, that government deficit spending is likely to catch up with us sooner or later. It also includes consumers taking on more debt and very few people buying and selling houses at the highly inflated mortgage rates. But sooner or later, the deficits will catch up to us. We talk about that often, they always do. Third, you know that Harvard is in trouble and it's lost its way when nations like Germany and Austria are scolding Harvard for fostering anti-Semitism. What a world it's become. It's almost like Iran in the UN lecturing Israel on human rights. It's just an insane world, actually. Germany and Austria are right to scold Harvard. Iran and the United Nations are ridiculous to scold Israel. Fourth, Beyond Meat tells Yahoo Finance that history is on its side, that it will ultimately prosper. Meanwhile, it's down 29% year to date in a year where the markets had a record year. In reality, some veggie burgers are really good. I personally can't stand the Beyond Meats ones, but that's me. Fifth, pending home sales are stuck at a 22-year low. This is one of the things that consumers are doing to avoid the high mortgage rates. They're just not transacting in homes. Sixth, the one-year Treasury yield has dropped nearly 60 basis points over the last 6 weeks. It may be time to go back to laddering CDs, bonds, treasuries, and more. Laddering means you're buying 1, 2, 5-year, 10-year bonds and just sort of living with over time the interest rate environment. More recently, the 1 year has been so high that we've been really addicted to buying the 1 years, but now the 1 year is about 4.9%, the 3 years about 4%. Traditionally, we've always been thrilled to buy in and have 4% treasuries. Seventh, Blackstone seems way out in front of putting money to work currently. A great article today on them investing heavily in Europe as Europe struggles some. But Blackstone, the biggest of the private equity giants today, seems to be outperforming the rest at the current moment. Eighth, the S&P nears record highs. I didn't see that coming this year. The S&P 500 is up nearly 25% year to date. Ninth, read via Amazon, Blocking and Tackling 60 Keys to Building a Business and Managing Your Money. This is a book written by myself, short, concise, easy to read. If you can, leave a review on Amazon. We greatly appreciate it. 10th, we'll talk about tennis and golf for a moment, and we'll do this again on a separate podcast. But here are two concepts on tennis and golf. First, in some tennis teams or tennis players, there's always somebody that when they miss a shot, spends an incredible amount of time looking at the racket as though the racket is demonized or needs an exorcism or something, or the racket has done something wrong. Now, most of us know over time that it's not the racket, it's really ourselves. Also in tennis and golf, or tennis, there's certain guys that when your partner misses a shot, sort of give them encouragement and let it be. Other guys that give them that patented eye roll of, I can't believe you tried that shot that you never hit and hit well. Those are two things I see. Those are things I'm not really guilty of. I'm guilty of a lot. I'm guilty of in my tennis game playing too soft as opposed to aggressive. I'm guilty of a lot of sins. That's just not one of them. In golf, here's what I am guilty of. I am the biggest sucker in the world for clubs. I've never seen a club that after a lesson or a practice or round, I don't think it's going to be the game changer in my golf career and my golf play. I've never seen a club that I don't think is going to immediately drive me. Now, this is better than other midlife crises, but this constant need to think that that club is going to solve my problems is as stupid as the guy who looks at his tennis racket and thinks that that's the problem. But it's a stupidity that I have, and I can't get out of it. It's somewhat of an impulse control thing. Finally, the 11th story I'm following today, and this is really a thank you, and the markets are down a little bit today. That's a different story. But a great thank you to Chanel Bunger, to Jeremy Core, and really the entire team at Executive Podcast Solutions, at least the four that I've worked with, Graceland Keller, Kate Cruz. What a team and what a pleasure. They've made producing and running up the rankings and increasing our downloads for the Becker Private Equity Podcast and the Becker Healthcare Podcast just so much easier with their great help. Again, anytime somebody wants to leave me a comment or an idea for a story, feel free to text me, 773-766-5322. Thank you very much for listening.